Have you ever wondered how apps like Swiggy, Instagram, or Facebook communicate to the service? Like how the front end magically knows the users, the posts, all those messages? Well, there is something called as REST APIs. And in this video, let's build one by ourselves using Node and Express. REST APIs are basically the bridge between front-end and back-end applications. Whenever an app sends or receives data, it usually happens through APIs. So, in this video, we are going to understand what REST APIs actually are by building one from scratch using Node.js and Express. Alright, to start with, just ensure you have Node installed in your machine. And to check, just type node-v. Here you go. And also ensure you have npm, which is Node's package manager. If you don't have Node installed in your machine, just head to nodejs.org and install the LTS version, the long-term support, and then you're good to go. And I'll create a directory maybe, and I will name it say rest demo. I'll redirect to it. Demo. So this basically creates a Node.js project. Now I'll open it in VS Code. Okay, good. And now let's go ahead and install Express. This basically makes building API super easy. And npm install Express. All right. I'll create a new file named server.js, and in which we'll create a simple Express server. For that, first const Express. I'll import the Express module, so require within which Express, and now I'll create an app, say const app equals express of. So this creates an Express application, and I'll make it to listen to port number say 3000, and we'll have an arrow function over here. For checking, we'll have a log, say server is running say port 3000. To check, we'll give node server.js, and cool, yes, our server is running. So first here I'm importing the Express, which is a framework that helps us build servers and APIs and more easily using Node.js. Then here I'm creating an Express application using Express of, and finally app.listen starts our server on port 3000. So once I run this file, our backend server starts running locally. Alright, now let us add the first API route to our app. So to do that, I'll give app.get, say just backslash. It takes two parameters, request and a response, and it is an arrow function. So the response is being sent with hello. Alright. So now this app.get basically means whenever someone sends a GET request to this route, the server should respond with something. Here, if someone visits the home page, the backend simply sends back hello. So let's test that. So for that, I'll stop the server and run it again. I'll go to localhost 3000, and yes, our server is telling us hello. And this is actually our first REST API endpoint. And now, instead of sending plain text, let us now send actual data from the backend. So for that, I'm gonna create an array of objects. So let me create it here. I'll create an object, array of objects, say name users. The first object has something like an ID, say 1, and the user has a name, say Alex. And let's have another object as well. So the ID shall be 2 and name shall be say John. The first letter of shall remain capital. Okay. So let's create a special route for this as well. App dot get. So if the route goes like slash users, we again take a request and a response parameter, which is going to be an arrow function. So the response will be sent back with a JSON. This array of objects will be sent back from the backend. And now let's check. I'll run the server again. I'll go back to the browser and I will search users. Here we go. And here I'm creating a simple users array containing fake user data. And now this slash user route returns the data as JSON using rest.json. In the code, if you look closely, you'll be having that. This line. Yeah. So whenever someone visits slash users, the backend responds with a structured JSON data. And this is basically how front-end application receives data from APIs. Alright, so until now, our API was only sending data using GET request. But APIs can also receive data using POST request. And to do that, let me first add another line app.use express.json off. Okay. So this allows Express to read JSON data coming from the client. I will add a post method route here app.post, and if the path goes like users, I will have the request and the response parameter again, and it'll be an arrow function. So now const if I have a new user, it's going to be like from the request body, I'm gonna get it, and I'll be just pushing it to the array. The name new user, this variable, yeah, and I'll be sending a response JSON as well. So response.json. So that will be two parameters over here. One is the response, so one is the message. It is just something like a success message, so I'll just give success. And what are we sending? The users, right? So I will stop the server, run it once again. So to check if it actually works, there are two options. You can either use Postman to check your post route, and in case if you don't have Postman, you can very well do that using an extension called Thunder Client. Just go ahead and install this. So once you have installed, you can create a new request, and now ours is a post request. So I will change the URL again. So localhost colon 3000 slash users. And now I have to include a body here. So this is going to be the new object that is going to be added to the array. So let me give it an ID colon say 3 and a name, say whatever, say Sam. Okay, so if I click send, yes, here you can see the message is success, and now the array is being updated. So whenever front end sends new user data, Express stores it inside the request body, and then I am pushing the new user into the users array, and finally returning the updated data as response. So this is basically how front end application send data to the backend servers. So until now, we were returning all users together. But in real applications, sometimes we only want one specific user. That's where root parameters comes in. So let's implement one. In a server, I'll go back and I'll create another, say, get method app.get, and the URL goes like slash users slash colon ID. And it again takes two parameters, request and a response. It's gonna be an arrow function obviously. So here we are gonna get the user ID first. User ID equals parse int slash. From the request parameter, we are gonna be getting the user ID, but it will be in the string format. So for that, we are passing it into integer. Request dot params dot ID, and now we'll find the specific user using user dot filter of. Here we'll have a simple method which just compares the user's ID if it equals the said user ID, and in that case let's just send a response of the user. Awesome. So let's stop the server, run it once again. I'll go back here and I will just add a slash 1. Okay, so user before initialization, there is some error in the code. Yeah, it should have been users obviously. I'll run it once again. I'll head back, reload. Can't add user before initialization elsewhere. Oops. Save it again. Go ahead, reload. Yeah, here we go. And if I change 1 as 2, we get John, and if I keep it as 1, we get Alex. So if someone visits something like slash user slash 1, Express automatically stores the value inside the request parameters ID. Then I'm finding the matching user from the array and finally returning that user as JSON. So this is how APIs return dynamic data based on the parameters. So now let's learn how delete requests work. Just like how post adds data, delete request removes data from the backend. And again, I'm talking about the user ID from the URL using the root parameters. Okay, fine. To implement that, let's have a delete request right here, app.delete. It takes the URL as users slash colon ID again, and it will be having two parameters obviously, request and a response. It is an arrow function and its body goes like const. Here again we are uniquely identifying the user using his ID, parse int to convert it into integer. We are getting the ID from the URL, so request parameters we are getting the specific ID alone, and now we have to filter the users. Filtered users, I'll keep it, say users equals users colon filter of, and I will compare each and every single ID, and if it does not equal user ID, let it stay within filtered users, and if the ID matches the one that we want to delete, it won't be added to filtered users. And now the JSON will be only having the filtered users, and to do that I'll create again a message. It is more like success message only, deleted successfully. And again, now I'll update the users object, sorry, the users array to filtered users, and we are done. I'll stop the server, run it once again, and yeah, here I'm talking about the user ID from the URL using the root parameters. Then I'm filtering the users array and removing the user whose ID matches the request. And finally, the backend sends back the updated users list. So this is basically how APIs delete data from servers. Let's check that. I'll go to Thunder client. I'll create a new request This is going to be a delete request, and the URL goes like localhost colon 3000, and the ID that we want to delete, say /2. I click send. Oops, it should be users /2. I click send. Again, not defined. What's wrong? User ID not defined. Didn't we define it? Okay, it must be capital. Alright, I'll stop the server, run it once again. I'll go here, run this. Now, yes, the message shows deleted successfully, and we don't have John anymore. So, yes, we have seen how APIs actually delete from servers.
So, yeah, that was a beginner friendly introduction to REST APIs using Node.js and Express. We learned how APIs send data, receive data, and even delete data using different HTTP methods. And honestly, this is the exact foundation used in real backend applications. If this helped, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll make more fast hands on backend videos like